And so I imagine that, but we saw no physical signs of it. In fact, as we saw very little evidence of serious poverty. We saw plenty of people who would be classified as poor, but it's almost impossible to starve to death in Costa Rica because everything grows.
Would you say that most of the people there have jobs and are working?
I got the impression that there was some unemployment, maybe higher than the United States, but that there were a lot of people were working, and there was tremendous amount of trucks going back and forth and a lot of heavy equipment. And when you see a lot of heavy equipment on the road or dump trucks on the road, that means there's a lot of construction going on. And in Costa, there was a tremendous amount of construction going on, principally high-rises with views of the ocean. There's lots and lots of that type of construction going on there. And that primarily caters to Europeans and Americans, and of course some Costa Ricans, but an awful lot of that was construction was driven by demand from America and from Europe.
Deanna, you are very bilingual, and in fact you even work in our courts here some to help with Spanish. How about the language in Costa Rica?
It's Spanish. It's more like Mexico. They do have a little draw, and that it's very, I understand it very well, speaking Spanish.
In knowing you a long time, there's different dialects and all of
a little bit different.
All around South America, but such an advantage to be able to speak the language, and so you could communicate with people all over the country.
Yeah, I was a full-time interpreter between my family.
Well, I hope they're paying you some for this.
They did. The trip was fantastic.
The trip alone was payment, wasn't it? Tell us a bit more about you mentioned that going into breakfast, one of the slides we showed. Now, what are some of the staple foods in Costa Rica? What are some of the favorite things that they eat?
They eat a lot of fish. That's very popular, and chicken, as you saw from the free-range chicken pictures. But they have, the food is fresh. They do it daily. They have lots and lots of fruit. The fruit is excellent. They have the oranges and the apples, and there's some fruit that you don't have here, that we don't have here. But it is, the food itself is, I don't think we had anything that is, they don't have a specific food. They don't eat, there isn't a lot of hot foods. Like in Mexico, you have the hot sauce and the tacos and all that. You don't see that very often. They have a lot of bread and a lot of fish. And what their stews, like fish stews that they have, are excellent. They have, like I said, it's fresh. And they take it right there. I guess you get it daily. But a specific food, I can't remember. It was.
Well, they have beef too. I mean, it's huge. There's a huge number of ranches that grow beef cattle, and so there's always that. But what we saw primarily was the fish and the fruit. I want to add, and for the people that are watching, we ate the food with and didn't get sick. The food was well prepared, was delicious and fresh, and we drank the water. And the public facilities that we were in and the hotels that we stayed at 6 or 7 different hotels. They had the same standards of cleanliness as we experience here in the United States.
Yeah, they are very clean.
So from that point of view, the traveling was excellent. And you could rely, they had Best Western, and we stayed at several Best Western hotels. And so the standards of cleanliness were very high.
You had the great advantage of Deanna speaking the language so fluently, but do a lot of the people of Costa Rica speak English?
Not very many. Not very many.
We could have done without Deanna. But,
he thinks he can.
But it wouldn't have been nearly as enjoyable. It was tremendously pleasurable because Deanna was running interference for us. But in the bigger places and in the nicer hotels and restaurants, we could have gotten through. And most of the people, a lot of the people spoke a very rudimentary style of English that they would pick up on
hotels. They would speak English where they would be dealing with the tourists. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great pleasure to have Norm Gissel and Deanna Gissel with us on this first of a two-part series of travel through Costa Rica. It's a country that I'd heard a lot about, and certainly with this program I'm far more informed about what a beautiful country it is and a successful country. As I just indicated, next week we will have our two guests, the Gissels, back, and we're going to continue our travel through Costa Rica. And our slides next week are more on the side of the geography of the flowers and the animals and all. And so I think you'll see that other aspect at that time. And we look forward to bringing you part two. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
Recorded on the campus of North Idaho College, Public Forum is the longest-running in-house college production on PBS. Each episode is pre-recorded live and is an educational outreach from North Idaho College. Please join us at this same time next week for another edition of Public Forum on this public television station. Welcome to Public Forum, a community outreach program produced at North Idaho College on the shores of Lake Coeur d'Alene. Featuring guests from around the globe addressing a wide variety of subjects, Public Forum serves to educate and enlighten. Please join host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart, in welcoming today's guest.
I am pleased to welcome you back to part two of our two-week series, which is a travelogue to Costa Rica. Over our 36 years, every year we have done several travelogues, and you as viewers have indicated that you really enjoyed that very much. I welcome to the program our guests from last week, Norm and Deanna Gissel. In July of this year, they did travel to Costa Rica, and they are back with us to continue that discussion. And last week we showed 20 beautiful slides that Deanna Gissel took, and this week we'll show you another series. And I have to add that she is a professional photographer, which makes it really a delight for us. Also, both of our guests have been very active in human rights. They both have served as president of the board of directors of the Kootenai County Task Force on Human Relations. And Norm Gissel was one of the attorneys that was so successful in suing the Aryan nations and ending their compound in North Idaho. Welcome back. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
And as always, I'm pleased to have our regular panelist, Erna Reinhardt, who is Director of Public Relations at North Idaho College, and she will start today's questioning.
Welcome back to the show. We saw some beautiful, beautiful photographs last week, and I'm anxious to see what we've got on the horizon for this week. Norm, you spoke last week a little bit about how safe you felt there as a tourist, and I want to pursue that just a little bit more. It sounds like Costa Rica is very different than other Latin American countries in terms of it's much more stable. And share with us what you think might those reasons be for that.
Well, I think that there's a strong cultural identity among themselves. I mean, they are Costa Rica. They're not Central Americans. They're Costa Ricans. And so culturally, they're very much have this common identity. There is this ongoing respect for the rule of law that is the hallmark of every democracy that I'm familiar with, or at least functioning democracy. And so when you have a combination of relatively high standards of living, governments that are voted for, and opportunities for public expression, and respect for the rule of law, then you prosper. And these folks have prospered greatly, and from a variety of sources. Principally, it's been agriculture, but now, more recently, there's a huge tourism boom that's going on down there, and I believe that each year about $1.5 billion of tourist money is dumped into this really very small community each year. So there's a lot of wealth that's being generated, particularly in terms of the size of the country. Again, I would restate, it's 4 million people, which is maybe all the people between Olympia and Seattle, maybe, so it's not a very big community, and they have they relate to one another, and you can drive from one coast to the other in about 2.5 hours, and traverse the length of it, even with bad driving conditions, which there are in that area, in about 8 hours. So it's not a very big place. And so when there is prosperity, and when there is these property booms, and when there is tourism booms, and the wealth is shared in some fashion, you see a happy culture, and you see a reduced crime rate.
Deanne, I want to follow up with that just a little bit. Would you say that the country welcomes Americans? Because I know that some countries aren't like that. So would you say, was it warm, friendly, and did you feel welcome there?
Very much. You'll be walking on the street, and everybody passes you by. They'll say "Hola," which is hi, and you'll hear that over and over. No matter who it is, from the younger generation to the older generation, everybody greets you very well. They all ask you. Some of the vendors are on the streets. There's quite a few of them with arts that they do themselves, which is very, very beautiful. And they try to make you buy some of their wares. But overall, they are very, very friendly. And they greet you no matter what with a big smile on their face, which is nice to see people smiling. And they seem happy. For what we can see, it doesn't matter how poor or how, if they were well-dressed or not very well-dressed, they still greeted you with open arms and welcome.
I just want to add one thing there. That we were in a mall in San Jose that was as modern and as clean and had the variety of goods of any mall that I've been in the United States. It was just remarkable. A lot of United States companies there.
Right.
But there were also a lot of European countries, companies there, and a lot of Central American and Brazilian and South American companies there selling wares. And it was a brand new mall, but it was just absolutely immaculate from one end to the other, and it was like any mall in the United States, except it was even cleaner. And
well, they have very good building. They have the mosaic, they have the stone, they have all those beautiful tiles that they have. It's just absolutely beautiful. You go there and you'll see that Costa Rica has all that in their buildings. The decorations, the way the art that they do is into almost everything you see around, from the inside to the outside.
One of the attractions for Costa Rica has been the rainforest, and I know that there are some misconceptions about those. Norm, why don't you explain a little bit? It's not something you just take a hike through.
We were in a rainforest, and I think one of the slides we will see will capture some of that. But the rainforests are the hillsides that flank these mostly extinct volcanoes, capture the moisture, comes in from the Pacific and then comes in from the Gulf of Mexico. And so they get heavy rain on both sides of the mountains, which is, it's not like that in the United States, but it is like that there. It's very interesting. And we have these extraordinary rainfalls, and in places it rains every day. It just simply rains every day. And the flora and fauna that grow up in these types of places is just absolutely visually spectacular. And you can stand in a grove or in what would be really a tangle of green that is 300 feet high. And it's dark where you're at. In the middle of the day, it's dark where you're out on the floor because there is so much greenery, and it's all competing for sunlight. And it's just remarkable, and it's so tangled and so dense that the idea of walking through it without the benefit of a trail is simply It's just almost unthinkable that you could walk through it.
The other thing that we promised our viewers last week on our return this week is that we would have some more digital photographs that Deanna Gissel, a professional photographer, did. And Deanna, we're going to start those now, and we have 18 today to show, and you'll tell us about the first one. It's up on the screen.
This one was taken from the plane again. It's an aerial picture of the coast of Costa Rica. As you can see, it's beautiful, it's green, and the water is so blue and so beautiful.
It's just gorgeous.
It is very, very pretty. And really the pictures, when you look at them, they're gorgeous, but when you see it eyesight, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Breathtaking.
Number 2?
Number 2 is a tree, which we never found out what it was called. But that's a tree that grows that way. It's not molded. It's not cut.
It's typical of a lot of trees.
Yeah, the shape. And they are all over the place. You see them one after the other.
It looks like it's been...
a mushroom.
It is like
trimmed.
a mushroom.
Yeah.
It is. And they're all like that, it seems. They are heavy and they're down and they're beautiful.
All right,
This is inside an area that was, was the one we just saw, was inside an area that was a cattle grazing pasture.
Oh, yeah.
And they leave those trees grow to provide shade for the
We're
cattle.
now at number 3.
This one is a flower that I've never seen before. It is almost like velvet looking. It's beautiful. It looks, it looks like the pineapple, but it's not. It's deep, deep burgundy red. The color, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
It is. And number 4 is also a
Number
flower.
4 is the bird of paradise that we call it. And those are all over the place. You see them on the streets. You see them anywhere, in all the hotels and wherever you look.
So it's a natural flower.
Very, it's natural. They grow on the sidewalk. You'll see them. And they don't have only 1 or 2. You'll see them like having 30 of them in a row, coming down like
30
from
blossoms.
30 blossoms. They go like they're on the ledge of something or near a ledge, and the flowers fall all the way down. So when you go to a restaurant, what they have is they cut the flowers with all the 15 or 20 or whatever they have on it. And when you look at it, it's just a long stem that grows out of those leaves, and then it hangs down, and that's how the flowers become this way. And they look like a cascade. And they have them just in a plain vase with no leaves, but all of them are hanging just like a...
And number 5 is another flower.
It's another flower. Flowers are very popular there, and since they have them in quantity, you'll see them anywhere and anywhere you go to a restaurant. And they are not only one planter. You'll see one.
These are natural growth.
Natural flowers. They grow over there, and they make them. I guess there's people that make the arrangement, but you'll see them in every restaurant, bar, whatever you go in, you'll see those outside, inside, anywhere. And they'll have, like in this restaurant, I counted at least 20 of them that way.
And number 6 is another natural flower.
That is a natural flower that grows, I saw it in San Jose, and it was like a ledge, like you call it. They have it as a divider between homes or, just on the edge. And what's amazing about it, the flower is one cluster as you look at it, but it has the white or the lightest purple and the dark, and they come out from the same bud. 2 different colors, and some of them are very light pink, light purple, white, and purple.
And I assume these flowers have great aroma.
No, they don't.
They don't.
I tried to smell them. They don't have anything.
Okay.
But they are
beauty,
beautiful, and they
yes.
grow like a big bush, and they make a hedge out of it. It's very beautiful.
And number 7, I believe, the volcano.
That's the volcano Arenal, and the cloud that you look at, it's not a cloud, it's the view of the volcano. The one you look below that,
Go to the next one.
go to number 8. Now you can see all these clouds that are falling, or they look like clouds. Those are the lava that falls constantly. The volcano erupts almost every hour, every 2 you can hear it rumble, and it's a loud rumble. And at night you can hear it even louder, maybe because it's at night. That the smoke that you see right above, that's the steam from the volcano, and then all these white coming down the mountain, they're all the lava that's falling.
So you don't have to be terribly concerned it's about to explode and you're going to get covered.
Well, not really, because the way they told us that because the volcano is alive, I mean, it keeps spewing every day and every hour, and it does a big eruption kind of at night, not a huge or anything, but it is big enough that you can see the red lava coming down. because it does it all the time, they don't think, they're not afraid that it's going to explode
Right.
in the next, in the
Not like
near
Mount
future.
St. Helens. Yeah,
Right.
it's
It's
completely.
Where it laid dormant for so long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people live right at the bottom of
Yeah.
the volcano.
Number 9 is the
Number 9 is the estuary. You can't go there unless you're in a boat, and you have to have a guide, if not you get lost. There's so many, it looks like a river, but it's very smooth, and the water is reddish color.
Is it motorized boat or is it?
It's a motorized boat, a small motor, and the guide will take you there, and he won't let you be away from him.
Right.
Because we did stop there and walked in, but you had to be close to him, because if not you will get lost. It's very dense, and we wanted to see how dense it was, and we
Yeah.
went in.
Oh, that's it. Number 10.
Number 10, in the estuary, the reason we went to there is to look at the monkeys, which we hear about, the howler monkeys.
Yes.
And there were so many of them that it was impossible to really take a good still picture, because they were jumping from one
Yeah.
tree to another and yelling. And this guy that you see in the picture, he was howling. And they'll put their head out, and they have a very, very loud voice. And my grandson would imitate his voice, and he'll repeat. They were talking to each other, but hollering at each other. It was fascinating.
So they enjoy people.
They enjoy people, but you have to have a guide to take you, because not all the time you find them. They move in the estuary,
Right.
but they are in one area which they know about, and you go, sometimes they go to the area that we were at, sometimes they go to another different area, but they're all there. And it's a big population of them.
Yeah.
And we had the babies.
Yeah.
She had a little baby, and you can see it. I think that's the one
Yeah.
that's above her,
Uh-huh.
holding onto the mama.
Number 11.
Number 11, let's see. That is going into the estuary just to show you how dense it is.
Mhm. It is, isn't it?
And the roots that you see on the bottom, the brown, as you can see, all these are roots that go into the water. That's how they feed, and they keep growing, and they keep multiplying, and they are just like a little knot. And as you see here, you can't even walk. They had to find a place that it's a little bit open so we can walk in there, because you can't go unless,
Right.
you're climbing over, and it's not a very good